Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Today's topic will be our new model of automation. It's one of Fidier's recent updates. Basically, we have merged the old autopilot that you guys know on the platform with the automations model to make it more flexible and even more actionable for the users and easy to use. So if there are no questions, we can start. I will start by sharing my screen. Okay, perfect. So the screen is shared. So let's start by the location of the automations model. Basically, when you are on your dashboard, you click here on the top right. Click on your name, and then you will have the automations. So the automations page will give you a general look and a general idea on your workflows and your ongoing automations. You will have the name of the automation, the status, the last triggered, who was it created by, and the date of the creation. And here, basically, if you click here, you will access to the builder if you want to edit the workflow that is ongoing, or you can also see the execution details. So if I click here, I will have, I misclicked, I clicked twice. Yeah, so here I will have the total executions of my workflow. This is a test workflow. That's why we don't have a real automation going on. That's why we have failure. But just to show you that you can have the failure rate, the success rate, and the fails last 24 hours, for example, and you will have all the executions. And you can actually retry them. And this helps you, of course, keep track of the workflow and see where it's working and where it's not working. If there are any failures, we are able to fix them. Okay. And of course, here we can always update the name, pause the workflow if it's needed, and then delete the workflow. So let's try to create workflow together by clicking on a new workflow. Let's call it detractors workflow for this example. So the biggest change actually in this model is that we gave up the logic of having a trigger, an action, and a notification as a workflow. Basically, now we have we have a trigger, we have an action, and then we can add as many action as needed for that trigger. And the notifications now are related to the action. So we don't have to go through the logic of having a trigger and then an action and then notification as a workflow. It's more flexible now. And basically, for the triggers, we always start with a trigger, and we have two options: either recurrence, so to have a recurring action, or segments. And we will go through them together in this webinar. Let's start by recurrence. So here we will have to choose repetition rate. Basically, if you would like your action to be happening every day, every week, every month, every quarter, etc., let's say every day, and then you can set up the time. So if you want it to be triggered at 9 a.m. every morning. And it's important to note here that this workflow and these actions only happen during weekdays. So they don't happen during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. We will not send any emails, for example, based on these workflows. You can also set up an ending date. So, for example, if you would like it to be over after a certain date or after a certain number of recurrences. For this example, let's say never. And here I have my trigger set. So the next step is to add an action. And for the recurrent workflows, we have 3 possible actions: the creation of a new report, updating of an action plan, or sending an email based on live feed segment review. Let's start by the first one: create a new report. Let's edit it. So here we have several options for the reports. Basically, we can start by creating a report here from scratch, or use a template report if you have it on your account. So if we choose pre-filled with filter, we can also have the possibility of creating multiple reports. So this actually makes it so much easier to create the reports on one shot to save time and to send them at the same time to the users. Here, let's choose pre-filled with filter. And for this example, let's have one report to make it easier to understand in this example. So here we can say, again, we're going to stick to our detractors example, detractors reports. We can have 2 types of reports. So basically, private, if it's private, it means that it's only visible to the admins and the person who have created the report. If it's public, it's visible to everyone who has access to this report. We can choose filters here. So basically, if I want to stick with my detractors, I will add this filter MPS equals detractors. I will select it here. And then this report will be automatically based on detractors and will be sent later when we will set up the notifications. We can also select folders if you have any folders in your account. And basically now my report is ready to be sent. So very easy in a very few steps. We also have the option to not use the same time period as the recurrence. So basically, if I would like my report to be based, for example, on the last quarter or on the last month, but my recurrence is is set up to be sent at 9 a.m. every day, I can tick this box and then add a time period filter, which will allow me to have a different time period in the report. I will save. And as long as you have, it disappeared, but the little icon that we had before, it means that it's not set up. But once this icon disappears, it means that my action is ready and I can actually go and add my notification. So yeah, as we said before, the notifications now are linked to the action. So I can add here the notification and I will edit it. And basically for notifications, we have 2 types. So the in-app notifications, it's for users of Feedier only, and they will receive in-app on Feedier notifications. You can easily assign them here. Otherwise, we can also send the report to external parties who, for example, don't have access to Feedier, but who are in other teams, and you would like to share your report and the notes with them. It's totally possible. For this one, a quick tip: if you are planning to send the report to external parties, always make it public and not private to enable for them to be able to visualize it. Let's see if we have any questions on the chat. Okay, perfect. We don't have questions, so we can continue. So this is the first action that we can set up with the recurrence. We can go to the second action, that is updating an action plan. So, as you all know, the Feedier reports are always updated in real time, except for the action plan component. The good news is that with this model, we are actually able to update the action plan now based on the recurrence that we have set up in the workflow. Also, it's important to point out that the 2 actions are now related. So I can choose in this action an action plan that is not included in the previous report that was created. They are completely independent, one from the other. So here I will edit. I will choose an action plan. Oh, my action plan is not visible here. Maybe it's it was in another team. Basically, you select your action plan here, you save, and the action plan will be added automatically to the workflow, and it will be updated based on the recurrence that we have set up here. And then here, we'll delete this one and create. So the last action that we have is the updating of the live feed segment review. So I click here and I edit. I will have my segments. So we will stick to the detractors example. I will select it and save. And then this live feed segment review will be sent automatically every day at 9 a.m. to the people who have been assigned here for the notifications. So, for example, if I assign Florian, my colleague, I update, I save, and Florian will save, will receive the message, including the live feed segment review every day at 9 a.m. See if we have any questions in the chat. Perfect. So this is the first type of workflow that we can create based on recurrence. And of course, we can add as many actions as needed and as many notifications as we have action. You can publish the workflow or delete if you want to start over. What we're gonna do is create a new workflow to start with the other trigger, that is the segment. So let's create a new workflow, detractors, segment. So here, first step, we will replace the trigger from recurrence to segment. And here, still returning. Okay, here we go. We have our segment, save. And our trigger is ready, so we can go ahead and add the actions. So for the segments, we have the same as we had before. So we can actually go through the segment trigger and add the action live feed segment review, or we can assign a user. So let's go with this one here, since we haven't done this example. Edit. And basically, assigning the users mean that the people that I will assign will automatically be owners of the feedback matching the segment and the filters that I have added. So basically here, John Doe, Florian, and myself, we will be assigned automatically to the feedback matching the detractors segment. And from there, we can update the status, we can handle the feedback and manage it directly from the feedback page. So let's save this action. And we can also, based on the segment trigger, we have some integrations actions. So we have the possibility to add webhook to be able to send data to external services. We can also have specific actions based on specific tools like HubSpot. So you can automatically create a HubSpot note based on the segment, or you can synchronize a Salesforce object or create a Salesforce object basically to send the data to Salesforce or receive the data from Salesforce for enrichment of the feedback. So that's pretty much it on the new model of the automations. Let's check the chat to see if we have any questions. Perfect. We don't have any questions. And since we still have time, I wanted to also show you some new updates that we've had on Feedier, and we can go through them together. So the first update is related to text analysis. Um, let's just change these filters to show you. So if I take, so the newest update is that we have added an automatic noise detection for the verbatims. So basically, all the comments and verbatims that are not useful for the analysis, like, for example, saying thank you, yes, no, nothing to say, or some typos, like everything that is not actionable is not included in the analysis anymore. So it's not included in the satisfaction ratio calculation, in the sentiment score calculation, in the topics detection. So, and this was actually also made for the social media imports that we have recently also added on the platform. So basically, we could automatically import the Instagram comments, the social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. And of course, in the comments, we usually have some things that are not related to our analysis. And this way, they are automatically unselected. And here is an example. So for example, for this Google review comment example, we have someone saying thanks. Thanks is not really useful for the analysis. So it is automatically tagged as noise and automatically deleted from the analysis. And as admins, you actually have the possibility to unmark it as noise or mark it as noise if you ever go through the comments, the verbatims, and then you see something that is more noise and not useful for your analysis. You can mark it as noise. And we also added the possibility to download the noise feedback. That way you can have an overview of these verbatims. So this is the first update. The second one that I wanted to share with you today is also related to text analysis. So let's go to text analysis page. Let's remove the filter. And here we have our topics and our segments that are, of course, displayed in this page. And we can go, for example, here, to the pricing and the checkout experience. And the newest feature is that, or all the insights that you see here, so basically the positive aspect, the negative aspects, can be used as filters. So if I click here, all the insights that I see here, all the topics, attributes, the KPIs will be automatically filtered by this insight to be able to see automatically, okay, I have a negative aspect, electronics products are of poor quality. I want to see where is this coming from. So I click here on attributes. I can select, for example, here, let's select the client profile, and I can easily see where this feedback is coming from and from which client profile that it's coming. So we can easily see here that it's basically coming from these 4 group of client profiles, and we can say that client profile D has complained the most about this negative aspect, and I can quickly take action on this matter. And I can also easily see all the verbatims that are related to this negative aspect. So all the verbatims that are related to this. And we can select also multiple insights at the same time, and you can unselect them like this, and then go back to your page. They are not marked as filters anymore. Perfect. So the latest update that I wanted to share with you today is more related to the reports. It's a small update, but it has big value as it's a big time saver. So here I created a blank report, and the update is on the benchmarking side. As we know, the benchmarking component is very useful and very used by our users. Figure, and it's very flexible, and we can use different KPIs to visualize in this graph. So I will start by the most general example, which is the NPS. Here I will select my questions, my feedback items, and I will choose breakdown by attribute. I will select, let's say, the client profile to stay at the same example. And the change is here. Basically, before we only had the manual selection. So I have to go through all the client profiles and select them one by one. But now we can click on automatic selection, and it will be automatically filled by all the values of this attribute. And of course, it's a huge time saver, especially if you have 20, 30, 40 values, especially knowing that in this report we can go up to 50 values. So you just click here on automatic, you apply the changes, and it will be automatically saved for you and created. So here's our automatic report that was created. So let's see if there are any questions. Great. So if we don't have any questions, thank you so much for joining our webinar. I hope that it was useful for you and it helped you get more informed about our latest features. Don't hesitate to join our next webinar. It will be set up in the next 2 months, and we will send you an invitation. Thank you.